Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 3469. Today's date is June 28, 2025. It's morning at 8:57 a.m. There is a little bit stress inside of me, and I am like I don't know how do I supposed to like stress. Is it stress? Yeah, it's stress. It is kind of like only inside of me it felt really not so good. Okay, yeah. And I don't know how to I supposed to it felt something really pressure, it felt something really wrong, it felt something really that came not good in every possible way. Okay, what exactly happened? What is actually the issue? Okay, so me and all my friends are decided to going to a trek. Oh yeah, tomorrow means like a today, like a we are living today. Okay, tomorrow we have trek, and tomorrow we have trek at Nashik, and I am really like I really wanted to go there. Okay, and everyone, all my friends are actually going there too. Okay, yeah, books our ticket. Sorry, I booked my ticket, booked the railway ticket, booked the hotel. Everything is actually done. Tomorrow, sorry, today I have to go there. Okay, I have to be aboard the train, and yeah, it's in Nashik, by the way. Okay, yeah, we are actually assemble all those people in Nashik. Okay, the problem is that I haven't really told my parents about that I'm going there, and it felt really wrong. Okay, yeah, like I thought that like basically today I will gonna tell that I'm going today and this and that, but it's just like that na ki if I mention that I am going with my friends to climb a mountain and things like that, they are not gonna happy. Okay, yeah, they are not gonna happy. Why they are not gonna happy? Couple of things, yeah. Not couple of them, but there are more of things. Okay, yeah, I'm 31. Okay, yeah, 31 in this September I will be 32. I'm not earning any money. I am living with my parents, and basically, yeah, you can consider me as a pathetic. Yes, I am. Like you have really rights to judge me. Um, it doesn't really affect me that much. Why? Because I know what is actually my destiny. I know what is actually my goal, and I am working to get my goals and things like that. All right, yeah. But my parents doesn't really think that way. My parents thinks like that. Ki I am 32, kind of like doing this YouTube thing, not earning any money, and kind of like some stuff and stuff. They think that I am like a really loser and things like that. Okay, yeah, that is somewhat true, by the way. Okay, yeah, because yes, and basically they are kind of like a something asking these questions to themselves that what actually happened, like what they make mistake to raise me. Okay, yeah, like basically is this thing from my parents point of perspective, I think the stuff that I'm doing, the YouTube and things like that, it's waste of time. It's waste of it. It's not kind of like somebody supposed to be a career. It's not somebody that key. No. Okay, yeah, my parents kind of like I think that's a waste of time, and I am doing this waste of time till the at the age of 31, at the age of 32. Okay, yeah. So my parents are bitterly furious. Okay, my parents really think that I am really fucked up person and things and that, and they actually kind of like somebody in stress. They actually kind of like a feel that what they did something really wrong to raise me to be that kind of like somebody loser and stuff like that. So this is my reality right now. Okay, yeah. Every day my parents are kind of like simply telling me this, what are you doing with your life and stuff. I never really record this thing every day in artifact episode because I'm really used to with this thing. Okay, I'm used to with this thing. Yeah, that is okay. It's a kind of like something that the path that you chose, the resistance you will gonna face, and that's it. Okay, but my parent doesn't really think that way. My parents thinks like that ki I should supposed to be get a job, get married. Okay, yeah, kind of like a somebody follow the societal rule, and I am not following that rule, so that's why it kind of like a something hurt them. That's why it's kind of like a something that ki, yeah. So about all those things, and then I mentioned that kid, today I'm actually going to the Nashik for kind of like climb the mountain and things like that. Would you consider they will be happy? No, they are not gonna happy. Okay, they will kind of like somebody saying some sort of stuff, and basically it's this thing na ki because of me I already hurt them a lot. Okay, I already heard them a lot regarding about the choices that I make regarding about career and things like that. If I mention this thing, I'm going to Nashik for this and that, it add even more stress to them. So so it's just like that na ki I am kind of like a somebody in between, that should I tell them or should I not. Okay, yeah, because I have to be go and I will gonna go there. Okay, like basically today I have kind of like a train to catch at 10:30 p.m. and I will gonna go there. It's, yeah, but the problem is that ki, how do I supposed to tell them that ki I am going, I'm actually thinking that ki my friend is actually has an engagement over there, so we all our friend are actually going there. So this is kind of like a, simply the things. And by the way, the trip is not really that much. It's been almost like a just 2 days of trip, and then after that I will come back home. But like a basically I, how do I supposed to ask them that I have to be go there? Why this thing is actually happen? Like why do you parents are actually think like that? Why is this thing? Yeah, but it just uh, it just like that ki, why do you think that ki your parents will not gonna convince or will not gonna kind of like simply happy about that you are going to the spending time with their friends and things like that? Very obvious reason, dude. It's a, like as I mentioned, very obvious reason. Okay, every parents are kind of like a somebody think that their child should supposed to be do something really good in their life, at least like do a job and get married and stuff like that. I am not actually doing it that, and kind of like a somebody doing a, such a thing that kind of like against the what they think. So yeah, it is kind of like a little bit impact on them. Okay, yeah. So all right. Okay, so this is kind of like a something really can I ask the question to you? Yeah, like a convince na, like a basically just like it is really essential to tell your parents regarding about what is actually stuff. Like your parents are not wrong. Your parents are kind of like something not enemy of your life. They just thinks very differently, so that's why. Okay, yeah, so you have to tell them. No, I have to be like basically it's like, yeah, I have to tell them. Okay, yeah, but I have to be kind of like find a kind of like a somebody perfect mood to tell them that ki mother I'm going there and this and that वगैरह. Okay, yeah, try to figure it out the kind of like a some specific mood so that I would. All right. When you became father of someone and when you were child, like basically let's just compare the same situation. Like basically instead of like put yourself into your father perspective, and what kind of like a sort of decision would you make? Okay, if your child is 32, living with him, living with yourself, not earning any money, what would you kind of like somebody, what would you kind of like somebody your action, what would be that? Okay, yeah, if I'm kind of like thinking from my parents point of perspective, first of all is that ki my parents thought process and my thought process are completely different. The way that I look towards the life and way that my parents look towards the life is completely different. Okay, yeah, but still that change is actually happened because of the kind of like a something you have the environment and things and that. But when your parents is actually growing up, they haven't really seen this YouTube, they haven't really seen this kind of like a some technology, they haven't really seen this that key kind of like a making video would be kind of like considered as to be career. They haven't really seen that particular evidence. So from them point of perspective, how would you react? Yeah, I would react the same. I would also, I would kind of like a somebody, if I am kind of like a somebody grown up by my parents, like a way that my parents grown up, if I grown up like them, and if I have a child at the age of 32 and kind of like a somebody that key just doing a YouTube and things like that, what would be my reaction? My reaction would be kind of like a something same. My reaction would be kind of like a somebody that key something like that, what are you doing with your life and stuff. Okay, yeah, even if my parents are kind of like a somebody very mellow person, they are kind of like a somebody really good, really very good, like even if I did all those horrible stuff, still they are kind of like a somebody not kicking me out, so that is really good thing, by the way. Okay, not kicking me out from the home, so that is really good thing. But if I was in their position, I might gonna kind of like a kick my child out, वगैरह. But I don't know. I just like basically it's this thing that na ki yes, the question is really right. I wanted to think from my parents' point of perspective, but I am not able to think like them. Okay, yeah, because it's just like that. I know what they've been through, but I can't really understand the gravity of it. Okay, I can't really understand the what is exactly gravity. What is actually is this thing? Like okay, yeah, okay, like basically it's this thing na ki each generation, like a father from son to his son, like basically the generation, the way that the generation is actually shifting so fast that humans can't even cope up. Like example, like basically almost like a 100 year ago, if the father became kind of like a something painter, then his son is also became little bit of painter or little bit kind of like a something that. Okay, yeah, if there is a father who has become a soldier, then basically the son is also became a kind of like a similar to a soldier, because environments are matter, like a way that they influence and things like basically as a son is also kind of like a son influenced by his fathers and things like that. So right, yeah, then but in the modern world things are very different right now. In the modern world, the world that the way are kind of like a shifting in a such a way that humans can't even cope up. Like basically is this thing that ki, right now YouTube is a legit career right now. Okay, yeah, but my parents don't even understand because they haven't really seen the YouTube, they haven't really seen what is actually the gravity of YouTube and what does it do and things like that. Okay, so they don't really understand what exactly is this YouTube. And yeah, so right, so they might not kind of like a some of the things that it's a kind of like a some of the career would be, right? Yeah. And so I don't know, yeah, dude, it's just like that na, it's like really fucked up thing. But yeah, when you became father of someone and when your child is actually like, yeah, like same position, what would you do? Yeah, like I'm not kind of like a put you in your father perspective, I'm just putting your point of perspective. Yeah, just your life and things like that, what would be like a, how do you looked up to your kind of like something your child career? Well, regarding about me, okay, this question is actually regarding about me now, regarding about that key, how would I treat my, how would I treat my child, how would I treat if, yeah. So there is a couple of things. Okay, yeah, I think that ki, what is actually value in our life. Okay, for me, I value my work a lot. Okay, my priority is my work. Okay, yeah, and I always put all the kind of like effort to make my work is as good as possible as I can. And yeah, and I'm making like basically it's this thing na ki, I think that ki I born on this planet for some sort of purpose, and I know what is actually that purpose, and I have to fulfill that purpose, and that's the kind of like a things that I have to do. Okay, yeah. Then married, then love, and then relationship. Okay, yeah. Child is a kind of like a things that ki, yes, I am a father, and I will gonna give them a kind of like a simply proper education, not only proper education, not only freedom, but as well as kind of like a simply giving the opportunity that ki how they make their life is as good as possible as they can. Okay, yeah. But one thing for sure is that ki I will not gonna interfere with their career. Another thing is that ki I would not gonna kind of like a simply interfere what regarding about what the decision, even if the decision is kind of like a simply wrong. I allow them to do that wrong decision, because somewhat something na mistake is a kind of like a stuff that most of people understand a lot, learn from a lot from the mistake, not from kind of like advice and things like that, because mistake is a kind of like a something be something that keep learn a lot. Okay, so basically as a father, I I am kind of like a something that ki yeah, like a basically is this thing I will give them good education, good this that like whatever the best stuff that I will gonna do that thing. But I will not gonna interfere with what they will gonna do in the future. I will not gonna interfere that ki what the decision they will gonna took for them life. uh, because I think that ki it's not really good, it's not really that kind of like a something that ki I because I think that Nick, I have to give them freedom. What they wanted to do in your life, they can do that thing. Okay, yeah. But dude, it's a kind of like it's very, very simple to say this thing. Okay, in reality, things are might be really worse. Okay, yeah. But like, why it's worse, na? Like, why it's worse? Like, basically, is this thing, na? Ki, let me tell you one thing. Okay, yeah. Let me explain what exactly is this thing. Why does like I'm talking about as an Indian point of perspective. I'm not really sure about the US and Europe, because in another country, parents and child are kind of like a something very two different thing. Okay, yeah. Parents don't really interfere with their child, and yeah, child don't really interfere with their parents and things like that. And basically, after the age of 18, the parents or child are kind of like a separate and things like that. Okay, but in India, we have very different culture. Okay, we have kind of like a parents and child are kind of like a living together for rest of the lifetime. Okay, yeah, for support and yeah, for everything. Okay, yeah. So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing that came fuck, I forgot the problem. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so why does parents are kind of like a doing it that like basically my parents is not the kind of like somebody only parents who's kind of like interfere with, no, it's not. Okay, like basically every parents in India, they are kind of like a something, just somewhat something they consider that ki their child should supposed to be like this, like that. Like have you ever mentioned that ki mera beta ye banega, mera beta wo banega, mera beta ye banega? Like basically why this, how this mentality is because of that ki parents wanted to parents want to achieve their dreams and things like that, but because of the some sort of situation and surrounding, they haven't really get that kind of like a environment, they haven't really achieved that particular dreams and things like that, and they think that their child should supposed to be achieve their dreams. Okay, yeah, and that is kind of like a something very fucked up problem, like, because you are kind of like a expecting that ki your child is kind of like a fulfill your dream. And what about his dream? What about what he wants in his life? No, he's not. Okay, yeah. So this is what kind of like a something matter. Okay, this is what kind of like a something is this thing that ki uh, parents are kind of like a rely to their dreams, that ki their child should supposed to be achieve that things like that. Okay, yeah. But another also thing, it's not kind of like a somebody right, not every parents are kind of like a somebody think that ki my dream should supposed to be achieve my son or things like that. No, some parents are might be, but not most of the parents. Okay, yeah. Most of parents are rely on societal rule. Okay, what's societal rule? We are living in society, we have kind of like a rule. Okay, that ki till the age of 23 you have to do your graduation, till the age of 27 you have to get a job, till the age of 30 you have to get married, till the age of 31 you have to get a child and things like that. So these are kind of like a rules that we have, that we build to kind of like a make the better society. Okay, yeah. And basically if someone is not actually following this rule, then probably other people are kind of like somebody criticize that ki, why are you not following this rule and things like that. Example is the thing that ki, like a basically there is kind of like a somebody in our society, there is a kind of like a somebody guy who has haven't really married or kind of like a things like that. Let's just imagine there is a girl till the age of 35, she didn't really married. Okay, yeah. Most of the people, most of the parents are kind of like saying this thing. What are you doing with your life? Why don't you not married and things and that and that. Okay, yeah. Marriage is a kind of like a sort decision she has to be take care of. Like it's her life and she has to be decide that ki, should she supposed to be married or not. Okay, yeah. But why does other people actually force them that ki, you have to do married or things like that? Okay, and those other people mostly are parents, yeah, because parents are kind of like a something following these rules. Okay, yeah, and they are expecting that ki their child should supposed to follow these rules. And this is what something happened, because it's this thing na ki, if if your child is not actually following the rule, then they think that ki they are kind of like a somebody being really failure. They think that ki they're kind of like a somebody, the worth of life is kind of like a somebody wrong and things like that. They just, yeah. So this is what kind of like I think that ki probably that's why just most of our parents are kind of like, how do I change this personal, how do I change this perspective? First of all, is it wrong? Yeah, like let me explain this thing. Is it wrong to kind of like a parents are expecting from their child, is it wrong like following these rules and things like, is it wrong? No, it's not wrong. Okay, it's a kind of like a something, the system that we created to make our society better. Okay, yeah, make our society better means like that ki, it kind of like a gives you a kind of like a little bit success, so that people kind of like a society consider that ki this is success is kind of like a good enough. Okay, yeah. Why we actually kind of like a create this rule is because of that ki, like a basically no one will gonna kind of like a somebody do something really crazy thing in their life that might society will gonna kind of like a things that it's wrong. Okay, like a basically is this thing that ki, if the person didn't really educate, like he thinks that if the person decided that ki, I don't want to follow the rules and things like that, then probably things might be really worse. Okay, person will might not gonna educate, he went to the another kind of like a dark where kind of like a do the criminal activity and things like that, and which is something really wrong. Okay, yeah. So basically what I'm trying to tell you, the rules that we created is meant to be kind of like a something get a success that everyone kind of like a something, a little bit success that kind of like not little bit success, kind of like a somebody giving them a kind of like a somebody a rules that we created to kind of like a somebody follow the rules. Yeah, follow the rule, follow the part of the crowd, follow this thing, like a basically is go, do not go against the road, do not go against the flow of the river. Okay, yeah, like these are the rules are kind of like a meant to be kind of like a something the society good, that's it, society good or society kind of like a somebody, yeah. But if the child is actually decided that he wanted to achieve something really different in his life, then these rules he has to break that rules, he has to break that rules, like a basically not gonna do any kind of like a wedding or things like that, not gonna do marriage and kind of like focusing on work and things like that. So society or parents or everyone kind of like consider that ki, like why are you not following these rules and things like that. Okay, yeah. So is it wrong, like is this kind of like a something, this thing, this for expect the kind of like a somebody following this rule, is it wrong? No, it's not wrong, it's a right. Like a basically is this thing that key from like a like this question is kind of like a somebody very vague. Okay, vague means like that key unclear, un kind of like a somebody that key the answer would be very different from perspective to perspective. Okay, like basically is this thing, if I'm looking at thousands of people, then probably this rule is really great for kind of like a somebody make the better society or things like that, because in the end it will gonna grow our economy things and something like that. Okay, yeah, because these rules are really essential to kind of like a make our society as good as possible as you can. Okay, yeah. But when you went to the individual people, then things might be very different. Okay, yeah, things might be kind of like somebody wrong or I don't know. Okay, yeah. But dude, yeah, I'm gonna ask this question that ki nobody actually tell those rules. Okay, in life. Okay, no one actually tell them that like you supposed to do this and that and that. Then why is this rule exist? Like, yeah, like that is really good. Okay, yeah, no one is actually tell you this rule. Okay, not even parents, no one actually telling you this rule, but probably this is actually exists now. Okay, like we are human, we are social animal, our decision is actually rely on what does other people do, and we can kind of like actually do that thing. Okay, yeah, because okay, let me explain this first. Okay, yeah, let me explain in very deep level. Okay, yeah, why do we have a rule? Okay, yeah, and when this rule is actually existed. Okay, yeah, so basically is this thing I'm talking about from the thousands of years ago. Okay, when humans are went for hunting. Okay, yeah, for food and things like that. So basically is this thing that ki humans means male people are actually went to hunting. Female won't be able to go to the hunting. Why? Because female can't able to run that fast. They don't really have that much strength. They might be really vulnerable in front of wild animal. Okay, yeah. So usually for the hunting purposes, only male people actually go for hunting. Okay, yeah. Then what does female person will gonna do? Female person will gonna take care of the kind of like somebody camp and things like that, because it's kind of like somebody essential for whoever the people went to the hunting. Then basically take care of the hunt, take care of the child and things like that. So this kind of like a somebody the uh, a natural work is kind of like a something associated by the nature, because because the male person have strength, they can go for hunting. Female person doesn't have strength, so basically they can take care of the home and child and things like that. Okay, yeah, like no one is actually tell them, but unfortunately the nature is kind of like a something decide that rule. Okay, that ki male should supposed to do that thing, female should supposed to do that thing, वगैरह वगैरह. Okay, yeah, because of we are kind of like doing this thing for thousands of year, things might be different. Like right now we actually seen that ki most of the people who is actually working are male. Okay, and most of people are, yeah, male, and the female are used to be kind of like a simply the taking care of home and child and things like that. Like I am not doing any kind of like a somebody discrimination, I am not doing any kind of like a somebody inequality, no, nothing like that. I'm just kind of like a somebody realistic fact point of perspective. Okay, yeah, but right now in this modern world things are very different. Okay, we are not went for hurting, we doesn't really require strength all the time to kind of like a somebody survive. No, we really require a brain. And basically is this thing, the brain power is kind of like a somebody equal, not only for the male but as well as female too. Okay, yeah, so things are very very different right now. Okay, yeah, like basically right now male and female both can able to do work and things like that. Okay, yeah, but it's a kind of like a somebody the things, it's a kind of like a somebody that the shift is actually changes. Okay, yeah, but I'm talking about the old rules that we have, that ki male should supposed to be go for hunting and female should supposed to take care of their child and things like that. Okay, yeah, and basically the mother is always kind of like a say this thing to her child, that ki if that child is a male person, that child has a kind of like a somebody that he always have a role to go for hunting, because if he doesn't really went for hunting, then probably he will not gonna survive, because he will not gonna food and things like that. Okay, yeah, and then after that what is actually happened, that ki this is the one role, another role is a reproduction. Okay, because at that time human was really less. Okay, yeah, and if we wanted to kind of like survive in wilderness or kind of like assembly, we need a people. Okay, yeah, and reproduction is a kind of like a somebody very essential thing for kind of like assembly, that ki human race should supposed to be survive. Okay, because we don't really have fur, we don't really have big claws, we don't really have big jaws, we can't really run that faster. So basically we can easily be killed by the wild animal, right? But because of the kind of like a somebody the our brain, we are actually using our brain to kind of like a live together, our survival rate is actually increase and things like that. And because of survival rate is increase, our we kind of like a reproduce ourselves. Okay, yeah, we create babies. Okay, yeah, and those babies are kind of like a doing the same thing for kind of like a thousands of year. Yeah, thousands of year. Now because of humans are actually doing this thing for thousands or millions of the year, this perspective is a kind of like a stick in their brain. Okay, yeah, that male should supposed to do the work and female should supposed to take care of the home and things like that. But in the modern world things are different right now. Yeah, things are very different. Okay, yeah, but still that thought process are still exist. Okay, that thought process still exist. Okay, yeah, And that's why kind of like a something that we have rules to kind of like a something, as a male person went for hunting or kind of like a doing a job, as a female person should supposed to take care of home and raise their child to kind of like a do the work, or kind of like a somebody the prepared for the what they will gonna face in their life, and as well as kind of like a get married, because in the end reproduction or matter too. Okay, like a basically we need a kind of like a species for next generation. So yeah, married and these are also really essential too. So that's why we build these rules, that's why we build have these rules or things like that. Yeah, obviously these rules are kind of like a something upgraded along the time. Okay, yeah, but still the rules are kind of like a something similar right now. Okay, yeah, but these rules are not applicable for kind of like a something such a person who wanted to achieve something really big in his life. Okay, yeah. So right, dude, I'm kind of like a talking really like like do you think that the stuff that you are talking is exactly right or like a wrong? Would you consider that it's, I don't know, dude. It is kind of like something that I am not really sure that the stuff that I'm saying right now regarding about this and stuff is right or wrong. I don't know. I am not that credible person, but I am telling from my experience. An artifact is not meant for kind of like a telling the what is actually right. No, it's kind of like a somebody letting the what is actually the kind of like a somebody, whatever the expression that you have, whatever the thoughts that you are, you just have to express this thing. It's not meant to be right, it's meant to be expressing the thoughts, and that's it. So would you not gonna do anything like if your child is kind of like a somebody decided to do something wrong with his life, even if you know that decision was wrong, would you not kind of like change that thought, change that? Like example is this thing, let's just say you have a daughter, and your daughter decided to do kind of like a somebody the porn film, or kind of like a somebody that ki yeah sexy or वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह, would you would you would you kind of like a somebody appreciate her decision? Because like do you consider na like a working on porn film is wrong, so would you consider your child or your daughter that ki I uh yeah, like I know this is kind of like a something very uh uh I I not allow my daughter to do that thing. Yeah, because then why are you expecting your parents from they are allowed to do YouTube for yourself, right? Because if you are not accepting that your daughter wanted to do the porn film and you are not allowing them, then why are you expecting that your father is allowed to do the YouTube, and they will not gonna kind of like a simply that's really good question. Yeah, I uh um dude, YouTube is a very different game and porn film is a very different game. Yeah, but who is actually deciding that? Okay, yeah, because basically is this thing, you are actually thinking that the porn is wrong, right? Yeah, you are actually thinking that na, but in the future this might be kind of like something very common, this might be kind of like something that everyone does it, so does my daughter does it. So would you would you kind of like appreciate, or would you kind of like accept her decision? I I I am willing to. No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. Then why are you expecting from your parents to kind of like think that the stuff that you do on YouTube is meant to be right? Because you haven't really seen the career of porn film. Your father haven't really seen the career of YouTube. Then what? Then why are you kind of like expecting from your parents to do the YouTube and things like that? Dude, YouTube is a very different game now, and porn is a very different game. do you really think that? Okay, yeah, like basically I know this, like the porn films are very different, the YouTube is very different, I know, but in the future things might be very different. The way that social media sexualize right now, in the future things might be really worse. So how do you supposed to consider that? How do you yeah I don't know, dude. Yeah, there is like I can't give the answer of this question. And if somebody is actually asking me this question regarding about this thing, I will not allow my daughter to do that thing. Okay, that is for sure. Okay, that is for sure. But there is a one thing. There is a one thing that I like. Basically, is this thing na ki the I will gonna influence her life. Like basically, let's just say that ki if I have a daughter, okay, yeah, I will show her that what is exactly life, what is exactly the purpose of life, what is exactly that ki, uh, what is actually like what is actually the life that, like I will gonna show her the options. Okay, like I will not gonna kind of like somebody the decide that what she will gonna become, but I show her the option that ki what she will gonna become in her life. Okay, she can be anything expect except that porn, but she can be anything, she can do anything what she want. Okay, and there are millions of roles in this world are exist. And right, okay, so so I don't know, I am kind of like a sound really wrong right now, but it's just like that na ki my parenting would be, it's not really that key, my parenting would be kind of like something helpful for my daughter, for kind of like something that key i I treat them really well, not only from education point of perspective, but as a kind of like somebody as a friend point of perspective. Okay, yeah. um um okay, let me tell you one thing, what exactly is this thing. Okay, what I am thinking about. Okay, there is a one thing for sure that ki I will be kind of like a very workaholic person, so I might not have that much time to spend with my family. That is true. Okay, yeah, I will gonna married with a summer girl who can kind of like a somebody willing to understand me, willing to understand what is actually my work, what is actually my priority and things like that. And after that, she also accept me to for this thing, because is this thing na ki if I'm kind of like a somebody being really workaholic person, that then I might not kind of like a somebody pursue the role as a kind of like a somebody as a husband or as a kind of like a somebody father of someone. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing that ki whoever the person that I will gonna marry, she have to do all those roles. Like she have to be became father for my daughter and as well as mother for my daughters too. Okay, yeah, because I will not gonna kind of like a somebody available over that period of time where I would kind of like a somebody as a kind of like a somebody pursue as a role as a father. Okay, yeah, but there is a one thing that I will gonna guarantee how much time, like I might not get that much time to spend with my daughter, spend with my child or things like that, but whatever the time that I will have, I will gonna kind of like a somebody pursue as a role as a kind of like a teacher, as a friend of my child. Okay, yeah, like basically kind of like a talk to her, tell her about what is actually this thing, what is actually happening in their life. Like my wife or the partner, whoever will be, would kind of like a do a role as a father and as a mother, both. But I will kind of like a somebody follow as a role as a kind of like a somebody as a friend, as a teacher to her my daughter, to her my daughter as a child, or yeah, like basically who is the person I will gonna kind of I will gonna talk, I will kind of like a be a soft part for my kind of like a somebody for my child. Okay, yeah, and basically I will allow them whatever they want in their life, but still I'm gonna show them what is actually their life, what is actually the purpose in the life, what is exactly the what is actually the work that matter not only for you but as well as societal too, as well as kind of like a people's too, like a your work, how much it impact on them, how much kind of like some good influence to them. I will give you the kind of like something the I will give you the good influence to how do you supposed to become something really very good person in your life. Okay, yeah, I might gonna kind of like I say influence her life to make the decision right, not just pawn, but kind of like a somebody make a things right to the people, to the society. I am not really sure what she will gonna become in the future. I'm not really sure what she gonna do in her life, but I think I will gonna do little bit of influence in her life, in my daughter's life, in my child lives to what is actually the life, what is actually the stuff that matters not only to her but as well as to the society, to the dude, the stuff that you are saying, you haven't really seen the future now. You haven't really seen anything what will gonna happen. How do you supposed to expect that ki, would you influence things like that? Would you able to see that would you able, can you see the future? No, I can't. Okay, and then how would you say this thing that this will gonna happen? How would you say that ki, you will gonna influence her or in a really right way? How do you, I don't know. It's kind of like a gut feeling, dude. Yeah. Okay, yeah. It's just like that. Ki there is a one thing for sure is that ki my child will not gonna kind of like a somebody choose or choose a kind of like a somebody career relate with the porn or kind of like a somebody associate with the porn or things like that, or like I don't know. Okay, yeah, because because I still not really sure about this thing. I am not. I haven't really seen the future. I don't know really nothing about what will gonna happen. I'm not really sure will I will have gonna daughter or not. I will not. I'm not gonna sure regarding about how much like how good is my partner will be. I'm not. I'm not really nothing. But I just have only just gut feeling that ki the way that I treat my daughter to my child, I will gonna add little bit value in her life, in a good way. That's it. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what she will gonna do, but I think did your parents did something wrong influence in your life? No, no, my parents didn't really did any wrong influence in my life. Then why are you go against their will? Why are you go against their, yeah, because in the end you might hurting your parents with action that you are doing with the YouTube and things like that. So if you are saying this thing ki your parents are not influenced to you in a really bad way, then why are you hurting them? I'm not hurting them, dude. I genuinely really care about my parents. Those people are really very very good person, and if I'm kind of like a somebody put myself in their shoes, I I I don't know. Sometimes na you don't really have any answer. So sometimes you don't really have anything. Sometimes you just like rely on what will gonna happen. Like hope for the best and prepare for the worst. Probably I'm not. I don't know. I still not really sure. Do you consider yourself lucky to have a parents like you? Do you consider yourself lucky? Yes, I consider myself a lucky that I have these parents, because I seen so many worse, and my parents are not one of those. Yeah, in my parents they have some sort of flaws too, but they are not really that bad, and they are actually treating me in really right way. And I don't know, dude. I just don't know nothing about. I know I am choose something really such a career that my parents are not happy right now, but in the future they will be. They will be, because I will gonna proud them. I will gonna proud of the work that I will gonna do. They will gonna proud. They will consider to me a proud. But for that future, for that bright future, I have to be work on myself. I have to be kind of like a thinking about me, so that I would make a career in a such a way that my parents would be proud. Why do you think that ki your parents will not gonna understand the career and job that you're thinking is? My parents would be, yeah, like I'm not saying this thing my parents don't understand. My parents would understand, but sometimes na the the situation matters, because like basically is this thing, our mind is actually treated in a such a way that in sometimes we are accept things but sometimes we don't. Like basically is this thing that ki um like when we are in stress or when we are in kind of like something very angry, our mind is not able to learn things. Our mind is not kind of like a somebody is this thing that ki we should supposed to be learn or consider to kind of like a somebody the understand someone. No, like a humble kind of like a some emotion is kind of like a gone when you are in angry, when you are in angry position. Okay, yeah. And when you are kind of like a somebody in position where you are too humble, then you are not that like a basically is this thing now the way that we consume our thought process is kind of like a somebody different according to our mood, right? My parents is gonna appreciate, my parents will gonna, I don't know, I just, I don't know. I will gonna tell my parents that yeah, I'm going to the, I'm going with my friends for trekking. Even if something really, something really that messed up happened or thing happened, I accept. I also took the responsibility of everything what is actually happened right now condition, and I also took blame to myself that ki my parents are kind of like a feel really stressed, feel really cry. My mother is actually cry because of me because I am not really getting a job and things like that. I blame myself, but I have to be do those things for that bright future, for that thing. That's it. Thank you.